Hello my friends, starting a mix in your home studio is an exciting time, but how do you know when that mix is finished? And the truth is, if you're not too careful about this, you can find yourself on an endless downward spiral seeking mix perfection. But don't worry, I want to help you and we're going to address that question in this video. There's so much to unpack, but do stick around to the end of the video too. I'm going to reveal to you an awesome technique which will make sure that you reach your full potential every single mix and know when your mix is finished. So one of the great things about having a home studio is that you have no specific deadlines, you have no engineer looking at his watch looking to clock off, you're not paying by the hour. These are all things when you're working in a professional studio, are all things that you have to think about. And when a mix is finished, often back in the day when I was paying for time with my band would be at 5 o'clock when the session ended, or if we pay for say a 3, 4, 5 hour mix session, then we'd have to work towards that deadline. And if we needed more mix time, then we're going to have to come back and book it in another day, a few weeks in advance. And that could be really frustrating. But a lot of the time the mix was done and we worked towards those deadlines. And when we got to the end of the deadline, the mix was done and we all walked away and we were all pretty happy. When you're in a home studio, however, you'll know all too well that it's too easy to come back into the studio the next day, carry on tweaking, carry on working with the mix. You might go to work for a few days, come back, carry on tweaking with the mix. The mix can go on for months and months and months. And really you're at the top line of your abilities and your capabilities, but you carry on tweaking and hearing different things. And really that mix should have been finished a long time ago and you need to move on to the next mix because there's no real progression in constantly tweaking the tiny little details within a mix. One of the big things I always ask myself when I'm coming towards the end of a mix is how is the track making me feel? Because really that's the job of the song. We're not seeking some insane level of audio perfection. We're actually wanting the listener to go on a journey with the song and have an experience and feel something and make an emotional connection. So there's a number of ways that you can actually trick your brain to not think that it's listening to the piece of work that you've been mixing for quite a long time. One of those is just to first of all take a break, go and take some time away, and you should be taking regular breaks anyway when you're working on a mix project. That way you certainly get a sense of progression and a new perspective as you seek to move towards the finish of the mix. But when you're coming back towards the end, maybe listen ambiently. I mean, that really works very well in terms of tricking your brain so you're not hyper focused right next to your monitors in the same position. Maybe do something else, be away from the studio room and listen from another room just to check that everything's sitting in the right place and check that it feels good to you. Now another great way to feel the track rather than actually being sat there at a screen or analysing is just to simply turn the screen off. Now if you feel like you've finished your mix, getting someone else into the studio to listen to the mix with you at the same time, and now this isn't necessarily to get their feedback, but it makes you feel and hear the track in a different way. I don't know why, but it simply does, and it makes any potential mistakes really jump out of the mix. So have a notebook when you're listening ambiently, have a notebook when someone else is in the room, have a notebook when the screen is off, and just jot down the things that need to be done, the stuff that needs to be done. Not talking about the hyper tweaks, not talking about that tiny little overdub that happens at 2.5 minutes into the song that no one really cares about. What we're talking about here is the important stuff, making sure the vocals are coming through at all points of the song and are nice and clear to hear. Make sure it's punchy, the low end feels like it's in a good solid place. All that important stuff in the mix that's going to really make the difference and all importantly make you get to that finish line. Now another well-trodden path is the car test, and I think for a combination of the reasons that I've discussed, it can really help you know whether your mix is at that finish line. One, you might have other people or the band or a producer or your mix engineer in the car with you at the same time, so everybody's feeding off each other and can really hear what's going on with that mix and any potential issues. Another thing is simply just being, again, in a different environment and listening to it in a real environment where other people would be listening to a mix. Take a listen on your smartphone. There's also plugins which will simulate listening on a smartphone and other listening environments. There's a great free one called Car Test, which will simulate you listening in a car. So a whole bunch of plugins you can investigate to change that feel and mood and help you realize when you're close or at that mix finish line. And of course, don't forget good old reference tracks referring back to established good quality mixes in the genre that you're working with will be a huge help for you to know when you're getting close or finishing that mix. Now onto this tried and tested technique. It's a cast iron technique which you can apply to every single mix so you can know that you've reached your full mix potential, you've got the most that you can out of this mix, but most crucially, you will know that you're not cresting and going over the mountain and starting to now come down the mountain, taking away from the mix, being too over fussy, and actually the mix is getting worse rather than getting better. And that's so easy to do when you're working on your own. So once you've employed some of the suggestions which I've already addressed in this video and you feel like you're pretty much got there, you're not sure whether you should spend another half an hour or an hour tweaking this mix, that's the time to save as your project. Save it as mix 1, export it and drop it onto your desktop. Now you can have a break at this point, then come back to your mix, do another half an hour work on it, whatever you need to do, you feel like you want to tweak it. Do the work, and at that point save it again as mix 2 and export that onto your desktop. Now you've got two mixes, you've got mix 1 and mix 2. Another fresh break, come at it with fresh ears, drop them in a music player and A/B the two. Now what one is sounding better to your ears? Is it mix 1 or is it mix 2, the mix which you've done some more further tweaks on? Now it's super simple, because if it's mix 1, that's your mix. Go back to that original save, load it up, and that is the best that you can do. So be super happy with that. Your mix is complete. Move on in life, right? But if you're hearing improvements in mix 2, then there still may be some more work to do. So you can repeat this method. You can now go and do another half an hour of mixing and see where things are going. When you get to the point again where the previous mix is sounding better, then that's your full potential right now. That's the best that you can do with that mix. This is a great method to stop you going crazy in your home studio, and also make sure that you're always progressing, because rather than fussing on that mix for weeks and weeks on end, you'll be working on new material, learning new stuff and upgrading your skills. So I hope this video really helped you today. If it did, let me know in the comments box below. If you've got any tips, tricks and methods that help you know when your mix is finished, let me know in the comments box. I'd love to hear from you. Remember, your best is good enough, and I'll see you next time around.